go. So red voted for Romney, blue voted for Barack Obama. They're already talking about the 2016 election. I can't wait to update this when we get some new data. So if you look at what happened, red means the state electorally went to Romney, and blue meant electorally it went to Barack Obama. And if you look at that, it's kind of interesting because when you look at the actual popular vote, very, very evenly split. As they very often are. If you've paid attention in the past few elections, they've been really close to 50-50 for a number of years. I think, when's the last election that was truly skewed? Was it Clinton? Yeah, I'm thinking it was, back in the 90s, right? Clinton was pretty skewed. But since then, it's been almost neck and neck, within 2 or 3 percentage points every single election. Here's within 2 percentage points here. Now notice also that doesn't add up to 100%. And there's a very good reason for that. Well, but of those that vote, they have to vote for someone. This is not even a margin. Thank you. Who said that? Margin of victory. Sean, thank you. That's not included in this. It's unfortunate. We're all Americans. We're not seeing the obvious. Who else ran?
Oh, yeah.
There were. Oh, yes, there are more than 2 parties. Yes, there are. Yes, unfortunately, the other 2% is made up of the people that will never, ever win. Does anybody remember the last election where a third-party candidate actually did well? It was Ross Perot. Ross Perot got, I think, 20% of the popular vote when he ran against Reagan? Is that right, or was that Big Daddy Bush? Was HW? HW, Dukakis, and Perot. And Perot, I think, was blamed for throwing the election because he took so much of the popular vote away from the other 2 parties, which is the way it should freaking be. It should be that way. You should have more than 2 parties, because right now, everything's red and blue. What color is every party in? There is a green party, literally. How about the libertarians? Where are they? I don't know. They don't win the electoral votes in states because of that. In order to win an electoral vote, now look at the electoral votes. Look how skewed they are. I mean, you got a 60-40 split versus a 50-50 split. And why is that? Because electoral votes are based on population, right? Not every state has the same number of electoral votes. Which one has the most?
California.
I think it's actually New York. I think New York is the most. I could be wrong. It could be California. Is it California? Okay, because now New York City is the largest city, but California has more major cities. It's got LA and it's got San Fran and other things like that. So a state like New York and California are going to count more than a state like Wyoming, which is right there, big rectangle. So what's fun about, oh, please, Jay, go.
So what is the purpose of the electoral vote? Why can we just use it?
That is beyond the scope of what I can understand. I don't know.
I've always wondered. I mean,
it's historical, and we can talk about it at a break with anybody who knows why we still use it. I'd love to hear, because I don't have a good answer yet from any of my history friends. Let's talk a break, if you would. Better question is, what's the point of this map? Well, I like this one better. The reason I like this one better is it actually shows you, and here we go, we actually know, thank you, Sean, now that California does have more electoral votes than New York, because it's weighted by population. The states are now as large as their populations, percentage-wise. And what I love is, if you find Wyoming now, which it might be kind of hard to find, it's right there. It's the least populous state, I believe, in the Union. 600,000 people. It's actually a very large state, comparatively, but it's got the fewest people in it. It's mostly supposed to be wind and open sagebrush, if I remember correctly. Delaware, the state I'm from, has 900,000 people in it, and you can find it now right here. It was a little harder to see before. It was shrunk down, tucked into the armpit of Maryland. So now this makes it a little more clear as to where the 60-40 split is, doesn't it? Makes it a little more clear, I think, because now you can actually see 60% of that map is now blue, and 40% of that map is now red. Whereas the other one, it looked like it was mostly red, yes? And it was mostly red, but that's because we were confusing area of the size of the state with population, which is kind of what your quiz is on for next week, the confusion of what is standing for what. You gotta be accurate with how you portray numbers. So I love this map because of that. Now, you can get more descriptive. This is every county in the U.S. broken down state by state. Every county in the U.S. This makes it even look worse for Obama, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, it looks like now, what percentage of that map would you say is red? Yeah, 85, 80, 90, somewhere in there. Somewhere very high. Definitely not 60-40 or 40-60, I guess. But the thing is, again, counties. Where's LA? Is this big one, LA? I think LA is here, isn't it? LA County, I think, is that one.
the area there.
Bay Area. Bay Area's here, right?
Yeah.
Ish.
Right there where you
Seattle? Or is it Seattle? This higher than Seattle? Yeah, I just drove there like 3 weeks ago, I should know this. New York City? New York City, right there. Strong Island sticking out there. And again, this is misleading because the counties, although those are the county lines, those are the county populations. So now you're like, oh, okay. Can you see LA now? It's fairly obvious where LA is. Can you see New York City now? It's that big tumor over there, yes? So again, you get a more accurate representation of the numbers when you scale the map. It's hard to look at the map, it's like vomit now. Well, if you think that's bad, this is one of my favorite looks. This is the county, but they shaded it red and blue depending on where the majority goes. This is not how the electoral votes are counted. Except in, I believe, 2 states, if I remember correctly. 2 states, I think, give percentages of electoral votes, depending on how the state votes. The other ones are all or none. So in Delaware has 3 electoral votes. If Delaware goes blue, the blue candidate gets all 3. If it goes red, they get all 3. If they gave a percentage of electoral votes, suppose 2/3 of the state voted blue, 1/3 voted red, that means 2 of the votes would go to the blue, 1 would go to the red. This is what would happen if we did that across all the counties. This is what it would look like if you weighted that by population. So again, you see LA, you see New York City, and you just sort of like, it gets ridiculous after a point. I mean, I think we lost the point. I think this map back here was too useless. I think this map is overly useless. Which one did you like the most out of all of them? I'll go through them all. So there's 1. There's 2. There's 3. 4. 5, 6. Which one do you guys like the best?
2.
2? We vote 2? Yeah, I think 2's nice. 2 is just weird enough. It's just weird enough to be like, whoa, what am I looking at? But then it's like, oh, I see what I'm looking at. Anything past this, it just gets silly because you're venturing into areas that aren't really talked about that much. So good, I'm with you. But the point of all 6 of these graphs is that they're all descriptive. This is what happened in 2012, right? This happened. These are the votes. They came in, they were collected, they were put into a spreadsheet, put onto a map, some kind of an art program that drew this up for us. This is what happened. There's no question as to what happened. That is what happened, and that is descriptive statistics. Here's a bunch of numbers, here's a graph. You can give the percentages down here, 50.6 popular, 47.8 popular, 61.7, 38.3. Notice those add up to 100%. Because the electoral votes, you have to go to one of the candidates, so that's 100% electoral votes. So there you go. Descriptive. That's what descriptive statistics, it's most of what we do in here is that. Collecting data, looking at it, and then reporting on it. So what can you do besides that? Using this as a diving board, perhaps. What can you do besides just get data and then report on it?
Average.
That would be, if you will, tell me your name.
Zach.
Zach, thank you.